Yeah, I should probably talk about this, shouldn't I? The floodgates have been opened. Pokemon Day was just a few days back, and we got our first look at Generation 10. Pokemon Winds and Waves. It is plural, right? Like winds and waves? Yeah, it is. Okay. I keep wanting to say wind and waves. Like that just rolls off the tongue better. Anyway, we got so much more to look at than I expected we would. I was like, if they're gonna show off Generation 10, we're gonna get a really like bare bones teaser. Like we'll get the game titles at most. But no, we actually got like in-engine footage, like what looks to be genuine gameplay. And the starters, we got our 3 starting Pokemon and they're all super adorable. I don't have too much to say on all of this that has not been said already, but I figured, hey, why not get my hat into the ring and talk about how I felt about this little trailer and for all our starters as well. The lead up to the trailer was really nice. I loved going through those sketchpad drawings of Pikachu in each game's generation. And then you hear a little knock on the door, opens the door, and we get these 2 bizarre cosplay Pikachus. I was like fully bracing myself seeing them that we were getting some strange Pikachu dress-up simulator or something rather than Gen 10. I don't know what role these 2 are gonna serve. I think they got names on the Pokemon website. If I remember right, it's Mr. Windy Chew and Mrs. Wavy Chew. Okay. Don't know what that is gonna look like. Maybe they're just our like friendly mascot. Maybe our parents are trapped inside the bodies of Pikachus. I don't know. This appears to be a very tropical region, very Alola coded. I've heard people say Bora Bora. I've heard people say Indonesia. And I like that. I could use some tropical vibes in my Pokemon games after a lot of very European styled regions. And the game does look really nice. It definitely seems to have taken a lot of notes from Scarlet and Violet, which initially, worries me. I'm not a huge fan of Paldea being a giant circular wasteland of nothing, just grass and dirt and, a mountain if you're lucky. And while this does seem to be like a large open world again, it looks so much more considered. A lot more thought is going into what is in these places. Like ZA is a giant circular map too, but it's dense. They thought about what to put in all of these places. Even from this trailer, I see biomes. I see that one really interesting swampland, that one area inside a volcano, all these coral reefs, like the water. The water looks excellent, first of all, but also there's a really huge focus on the water. I mean, one of the games is called Waves, so like that makes sense. But I wonder if we're going to be doing a lot more traveling on the water, maybe even underwater, based on the end of the trailer where like we actually dive underneath the water and go on like what looks like a Pokemon Snap-esque pathway. But like it all looks like very deliberate design choices, which is all that I'm asking for, really. I want to feel like I'm in a real place rather than just a giant playground for Pokemon to flourish in great numbers. The Pokemon look nice too. We've seen a bunch of them in this trailer already. Pikachu in particular seems to have a brand new model and idle pose. I hope we take some cues from Legend ZA's Pokedex. ZA had a smaller amount of Pokemon than usual. It was only about 200 when you disclude the DLC. But all the Pokemon felt really alive compared to Scarlet Violet. They had a much more unique animations, which is the sacrifice you make. You either get 400 Pokemon that all have very basic idle animations, or you get like 200 where they all get like special treatment. But yeah, so far they all look nice. There's a nice batch of old Pokemon to choose from. Lots of very tropical Pokemon that you would expect to be here. I'm like skimming through. I see Timpole. I see Duskull. I see my boy Krabby. Lots of cool choices. And then, of course, we get our 3 starter Pokemon. It does seem like the philosophy of starter Pokemon design hedges towards the cute one, the cool one, and the weird one. And these 3 fit those roles nicely. Pombon is just scientifically engineered to be adorable. This is a creature that is meant to sell plushies by the metric ton. Right out of the gate, I can tell that this Pomeranian is going to be a fan favorite, and it's very obvious why. I feel like it was very similar with Fuecoco. A lot of our fire type starters have been head empty recently, and that's a vibe that I think a lot of people can get behind. Everyone's demanding that this creature stay on its 4 legs. Like, that's a very universal ask that everybody wants. And yeah, I get it. And normally I'd be like, it's a futile effort. They're totally going to stand him up. You know, that's just the starter Pokemon final evolution way. But like, then I think about Skeledirge breaking that mold, and I go, you know, like maybe there's a chance. I've seen some people say that for Pombon, like with the Bonbon name convention and how fluffy this Pokemon is, perhaps we could be going into a food theme with a fairy typing. That's fun. I think out of all of the ideas I've heard so far, that one is my favorite. I don't think we have a fire fairy type at this point in Pokemon's history, so that would be very cool to see. Moving on to Quay, who is definitely the cool one of this trio. I love that she looks calculating and she looks sly. I'm getting a very similar read on Quay that I did on Snivy, like first seeing Snivy all those years ago, you know, back when we knew him as Smugleaf. But I don't really get smugness from Quay. I get a personality read that is more, you know, confident and knows who she is and knows what she wants. Her eyes are so striking in that pink color. And given that and everything that the Pokedex has been saying about Gekwa's intelligence, really makes me think psychic type. Out of all 3 of the starters, I think this is the one I'm the most certain about. Interestingly enough, I really think Quay, you know, when I think about what this thing's going to evolve into, I just kind of imagine Inteleon. This seems like a much more appropriate starting point for Inteleon than Sobble did, honestly. But I don't know, there's a lot of different directions that they can go with this little lizard, and I am very much looking forward to seeing it. But I think I'm pretty definitively on Team Browt. It is in my nature to root for the underdog starter. I'm used to many of my friends getting the popular starters, and I end up with the one that everybody doesn't want but needs for their Pokedex. And I don't know, the longer that I have seen Browt, the more he has been growing on me. I like that he's clumsy. I like that he's pissed off. The Angry Bird comparison is not without merit. I like that it looks like his beak is a seed, and like that might grow into something crazy. I don't know where we're going with Browt, and I think that's got me the most interested. Like, I've got literally no idea. I guess we could just grow wings and become a flying type. That's the most obvious solution, but I don't know. I'm not feeling it. I've heard some thoughts that this could end up being like a flightless bird instead, which that sounds sick, and I absolutely would love to see that. But I do really like him and his big ol' eyebrows. He may not be as perfect of a specimen as Rowlet was, but I think he is rocking his imperfections well. It's like he's daring me to like him despite how he looks. And I sort of respect the commitment to being himself. So I think while everyone else is adopting their Pomeranians and geckos, I'm gonna be bringing this little chick home with me. And that's pretty much it for the starters. After that, we just got our title reveals of Winds and Waves, as well as a release time frame for 2027, which is interesting. I am glad that they are spending a lot of time on development. Like, we've seen the consequences of fast, rushed release schedules for Pokemon games, especially the bigger they get in scope, the longer they're gonna need to make these games happen. But of course, at the same time, that is a long while from now, and I was imagining that we'd be seeing it around holiday time this year. Ah, well, I'm not too broken up about it. We do have Pokopia coming out in just a couple days from this video. That will certainly entertain us for a long time yet. And of course, between now and then, we're gonna get a bunch more trailers, I imagine. We're gonna see a bunch more new Pokemon. There's gonna be like a whole new gimmick, I imagine, like terastallization, go into the trash can, see you later. We're gonna have something brand new, and I'm excited to see what that's going to be. It's just that time again. It's that time. It's a new generation, and anything's possible. We're gonna see new legendaries, new gym leaders, new evil team, new rivals. I've been through this song and dance a lot of times in my life at this point. I've been following Pokemon news as early as Diamond and Pearl, and I've been a staunch follower ever since. And yeah, no matter how many times I go through it, and no matter how old I get, this never stops being fun. The speculation and the surprise, you know, it's all a wild ride. And I do truly hope that Winds and Waves gets to go on as long as possible before it gets its first controversy. You know it's gonna happen. I just hope that it's not too rough. Anyway, I do think that's all my feelings on Winds and Waves. What did you think about this trailer and anything else from Pokemon Day as a whole? And who are you going to be starting with? If you're on Team Browt, definitely let me know. I need to find my people. But that's all from me today. I hope you have a phenomenal rest of your night, and take care.